Your Excellency. Now, in terms of 2015, because we have very limited time, I know that your schedule here is focused completely on the retreat itself. So very quickly then, 2015, what does it hold for you?
Well, perhaps before we go into 2015, I'd like to make the point that I hope Governor Jang is either here, and if he's not here, I'm hopeful that he might be watching. I think that oftentimes the most difficult things to do are the simplest things. And I think he will write his name into folklore history if he took a flight and joined this meeting today. He will show that he is really a statesman. And that said, 2015 is just a year, really, so I don't know in what respect you are alluding to 2015.
It's the watershed, as some people have described it.
Well, 1999 was the watershed, 2003 was the watershed, so was 2007, and heavens were going to fall in 2011. Really, I think we just have a predilection for pushing ourselves towards the brink, but when all is said and done, we pull ourselves back from the brink, and nothing different is going to happen.
But knowing that 2015 is going to be the brink, what kind of...
It won't be the brink. It won't be the brink.
Well, a number of people have said that it will.
I've heard that before.
Yes.
And nothing has changed. But perhaps what has changed is the positive. In the last elections, in spite of its imperfections, things seem to have somewhat improved. And I listened to the earlier part of your program this morning, where you were somewhat reluctant, as it were, and understandably so, to project the outcomes of an election. And I hope that we will get there when, after votes have been cast from exit polls and all of that. You see, it goes back to that spirit of sportsmanship, that you know that you were actually defeated. By the time the exit polls come out, a station like Channels and many other reputable stations will be able to say that we project that Dr. Fayemi is the likely winner of these elections, and so should it be really, because when we're having elections and we prepare as if we're going to war, we're actually going into a contest. And the headlines that come out preparatory to our elections are how many policemen and how many soldiers we have moved. Really, my skin crawls. But I am so optimistic about this country that we will get it right. And I think that what happened, we are not where we were in 1999, certainly not. We have moved. Perhaps we don't focus more on the things that have developed, and that is why for me, this is my first time in Sokoto, and I'm happy that I came. I've been to several other parts of the north, but this was a cultural connection for me, and it explodes many myths that one has heard about this place. I was pointing out to Dr. Fayemi as we were in my hotel room this morning that just right behind us, I saw for the first time a peregrine falcon, one of the fiercest hunters in the sky. And things I've seen only in my life on documentaries is right here in my country. We don't travel enough, and so on and so forth. I went around the town. I stayed in a hotel instead of staying in the governor's house. I drove out at night yesterday. I saw well laid out routes. I saw street directional signs. I saw an economy that was moving. People were still out at 11:30 p.m. And for me, these are the kind of stories that should really go out, not the stories that are less salutary. So I'm happy that we took the initiative to have this second retreat. I'm happy that Governor Wemako decided to host us. And I'm happy that I came here, because at least when people come and tell me certain things about Sokoto, I will be able to say I was there. Yeah, I visited the Sultan Caliphate with Madam Fodio. I walked into that palace yesterday looking at its gates, and I felt a sense of connection with history. And that for me is remarkable.
Okay, just before we begin to wind down, we will have to do that very quickly, but I still want to know, Your Excellency, you are on the verge of 7 years in office, and after that it will be 8 years, and after that it will be a case of completion of 2 terms. What is the future in politics for you?
Well, after 8 years in politics, it will be extremely difficult to remain uninvolved. It will be extremely difficult. But I think perhaps what will be more important will be how to put my experience into very productive use, and some of the things I've done lately is perhaps one of the things that I think all of us should be doing, getting more young people, getting more intelligent people
I'm sorry
into
to
politics.
suggest, Your Excellency, but when people begin to whisper in your ears that you're eminently qualified to be a vice president or presidential candidate, how do you respond to that?
Well, I have 18 months and a few days left to go, and I've asked somebody who asked me,
campaigning.
whose presidency? Is it the presidency of FIFA? Because I think Sir Blatter is still very busy there.
No, we're talking of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, there's quite a distance to go. 18 months on the political waterfront is an extremely long time.
It's a lifetime. Yeah.
Things are extremely fluid, and so. And 18 months is also a lot of time to progress the work that I am doing in Lagos.
So is that the answer?
And that's where I am focused.
So
I'm still very much focused on Lagos.
You're not decided on whether you will be.
I am still very, very focused on Lagos. That is my answer.
Okay.
You got an answer.
Fayemi, just before we go quickly, what are your thoughts about the national dialogue?
Well, the national dialogue. Well, my party has given a position on the national dialogue, and it is that it is good to talk, but the timing may be inappropriate. And you see, for someone like me who would spend a better part of my adult life campaigning for national dialogue and actually actively was involved as an advisor to Chief Bala Ige as the convener of the Citizens Forum for Constitutional Reform, I'm a bit chuffed. I mean, that the people who poo-pooed the idea when we started it way back have now come round to it, embraced it, and are pushing the frontiers. I know many of the people who have been selected to be the drivers of this dialogue, and I've had conversations with them. But you know, it's strange. The Bible tells us that, I mean, sometimes God does things in interesting ways. He uses the most unlikely people to achieve the most desirable objective. But I'm in a state, it does matter. I'm in a state of suspended animation. Let me put it that way. I haven't quite worked out. The devil will be in the detail. Let's see what the committee comes out with. There's some things that people say that really are not, for me, the central issue. Sovereign, the terminology. Let's talk. But ultimately, let the people decide. If we're going to have a constitution that says we the people, then the people must have a stamp of authority on it. There must be a referendum at the end of the day. We all must contribute to it because it's a living document. The constitution of a nation is not just a paper. It's a social contract between the governed and the governors. And it is something that we must take very seriously, much more seriously than we do at the moment.